the coming of AI, the blue-collar job is increasingly being taken over by the technology.
Creativity is what the creative people do, right?
And we in India, we are a land of jugaad. Jugaad is one of the most creative methods of living, ways of living that exists.
I think the first myth we need to dispel is that, there is something called skill-based and there's something called knowledge-based.
Usually people tell that liberal arts is just for arts and nothing else.
No, I think liberal arts is an amalgamation of all the fundamental arts and sciences. It's also a scope of developing very fundamental skills like creative skills, critical thinking skills, skills of argumentation, skills of communication and presentation, and all of those things put together, irrespective of where the discipline comes from. And especially in an AI-driven world like today, I know, the word interdisciplinary is almost highly abused because of its misuse in various contexts. But liberal arts is the ultimate dream of an interdisciplinary epistemology, where you have various kinds of strands of knowledge intersecting with each other, interweaving with each other to create something which is truly unique.
People assume that, if it's liberal arts, it must be something to do with English or at most history. And it doesn't have any relevance to the market. One way of understanding liberal arts is to say that it is bringing together arts, which is to be understood as skill, and science, any systematic knowledge, any systematic pursuit. Take something like sociology and psychology. Sociology attunes you to look at society and how's the social behavior, what are the various kind of sociological markers like caste and gender and so on, what is the role it's playing in how we behave, how we think, how we act. Psychology, on the other hand, encourages us to focus on the individual, encourages us to think of the species behavior, how does human cognition work, and so on. So when these questions come together, I think creativity works there.
I think Dr. Pritha made this point that creativity is what the creative people do, right? Which was very well put. And I think that's just a big myth. It's a way, creativity is a way of making us think beyond cliches, essentially. And whichever domain you are, that domain is always weighed down by its own cliches. I mean, I would even say that even if you're solving a problem or approaching it in the same routine manner, sometimes you need to communicate it creatively, right? Sometimes you want to say the same old thing which has been said hundreds of times in a new way, even for the sake of communication. Every which way, I think creativity is going to be essential to how we approach problems, issues in the world. And liberal arts ensures that creative instinct is very central to the worldview of students.
Same with media. All of these are ways in which we communicate ideas. When we think about creativity, we think about arts, we think about fine arts. What can be more creative than somebody looking at an apple fall from a tree and discover gravity? So creativity is also about two things fundamentally, I feel. One is asking the right questions. And the second thing is, of course, having that courage to follow through, having that courage to go above and beyond, to take that risk. And we in India, we are a land of jugaad, right? And I think in a lot of ways, we can think of jugaad as one of the most creative methods of living, ways of living that exists. These kinds of creative thought, critical thoughts, which allows people, irrespective of background, science, arts, commerce, does not matter. Some of the best business people today are people who have come from liberal arts background.
Yeah, adding on to that, we also had a conversation in the class, it's knowledge-based and not skill-based. So what are your thoughts on that?
There was a point of time, I guess, during the entire, when one was tested on how much information you could retain. At that point of time, maybe, it was a valid question. Today, information is available at the click of a finger. You cannot have skill without knowledge, and you cannot have knowledge without skill. And they go hand in hand together. Without that, I don't think one can go. Like, I teach media, I come from media studies background, and like, we are teaching students all the basic skills, whether it's of like, doing camera, writing, editing, understanding lights. Those mean nothing if they don't learn how to ask the right questions, if they don't learn how to, substantiate. So all of those things connect together at the end of the day.
Liberal arts actually deconstructs, this myth that knowledge and skill will be obtained from different kinds of courses or disciplines. Not only is the fact that in all of our courses, there is a huge practical and applicability-based hands-on, aspect. Also, from the very first year, we have something called the foundation year, right? Where students can choose electives from different disciplines, and only in the second year do they have to declare a major, right? So the foundation year itself actually encourages them to pick skills from various kind of disciplines. So if you look at engineering, purely engineering and technical universities, like for instance the IITs, they have been doing the humanities for some time, in the sense that the engineers had to take some electives in humanities and social sciences. But even there, I think they are realizing more and more that students should have probably courses in biology, courses in popular culture, and so on, because an engineer cannot just have technical or coding or other kind of skills. I think the first myth we need to dispel is that there is something called skill-based and there's something called knowledge-based, and they are distinct.
Adding on to that, though, liberal arts is like a growing course in India. Yet, like, even if the student want to pursue a career in liberal arts, parents usually stop them. Like, it's not a stable course, or it's not valued in India.
I think that's a myth on I would say on many counts. Those very students whose parents have such doubts, those students are often making a choice, even when they like liberal arts, sometimes they settle for law. Sometimes they settle for engineering. And we have a lot of engineers. I think India has an excess of engineers. In a society, we also need thinkers, we need philosophers, we need leaders, we need creators, right? We don't just need the vocational jobs. Now, who are going to be the philosophers? Who are going to be the influencers, the historians, right? Why don't we think of policymakers, right? We don't usually think of them as jobs worth vying for, because we think that only the elite are sort of predestined or preordained for that kind of jobs. Whereas liberal arts is saying that, I think it's democratizing it, at least this mushrooming of liberal arts is saying that even those kind of sort of jobs which are associated with a particular section of the intelligentsia are opened up, to a greater public. Those courses which basically say that they are skill oriented, what is the real substance around them, right? Whether they're really giving the jobs that they claim to give. Second one, why even go for such skill based jobs? Why not go for jobs which require higher order thinking, like being a filmmaker or a leader, political leader, or an artist, or a CXO of a company? Why not have such or being an artist, right? So, the art market in India is booming. Nobody talks about that, right? We need curators, we need artists, we need people, other people who can write about art. So there's a whole industry, creative economy that's coming.
With the coming of AI, but as you're saying, the blue collar jobs, whatever the jobs that were ordained for the mundane, is increasingly being taken over by the technology. Any mediocrity can be done by the technology better than a human. Actually, what makes us human, I think, is these higher order thinking, is these creativity, is this criticality, are these, the kind of stuff that cannot be replaced by AI. If we keep talking about workforce getting replaced by AI, but who makes AI? Exactly. Who's training AI? Think about AI that is, we in our class, we have been toying around with creating music through AI, right? Now, do you think the person who has programmed it has not learned music? it is a collaboration between people who know coding and who know music and who probably know society to understand, which part of the world is going to appreciate what kind of music. And maybe all of these things one can study under a liberal arts umbrella. So I feel in the age of AI, liberal arts is the future.